Morning, guys. Our lesson for today, as our second quarter starts now, as week one, it's all about irony and symbolism. So, what is our objective for today? That is to evaluate the relationship of creative and non-fictional elements of the text, and particularly, we're going to discuss irony and symbolism as part of our literary devices. So, as our introduction, irony is a form of communication, and we see and use it on our daily basis. And this lesson explains us how the authors of the nonfiction use irony to achieve a specific purpose. Irony is when the opposite of what you expect occurs, and this is usually causes the amusement or the emphasis. It is a works of fiction, like in TV shows, on movies, or on novels, that is often use irony to entertain the audience. No? In this way, irony is also used for the amusement of the viewer or the reader. If you have listened to the music Ironic by Alanis Morissette, it simply shows some ironic or irony in our lives that happen in our everyday way of living. Example, in the lyrics of the song was, it's like raining on your wedding day. It's like a free ride when you're already paid. It's a good advice that you just can take. So where they were just part of the irony. And they were saying on a part such as it is having a 10,000 fork, but all you need is a knife. So there's the irony. If you can listen to that song by Alanis Morissette, you can see the ironic part of our lives. No, there's a song that shows all the irony. However, irony is not just limited to just works of fiction. We're also using it in our creative nonfiction. It can also be used effectively in factual texts. In those cases, the uses of irony exist to stress or to emphasize a point or idea. And here we go. We have three types of irony. And the rest of our lesson will focus on how an author will use irony in non-fiction. So what is the first type of irony? It is called the dramatic irony. Why drama? No? It occurs when the audience knows something that the characters do not. It's like we're watching a play and we know what's happening, but the characters involved were not aware of what's the true or the factual things that happening. It's seen often in plays or in movies. This type of dramatic irony, it is limited to the works of fiction. So one of the famous examples occur is in the Greek tragedy, the Oedipus Rex. In the play, the audience know who Oedipus' real parents are, but he does not. So Oedipus himself doesn't know who is his real parents. Unknowingly, he kills his own father and he marries his own mother. None of the characters realize the relationship to each other at the time. And this is called a dramatic irony. Since this type of irony is not used in nonfiction, we won't go on into any more detail on this interpretation. We just know that it does exist. I'll give another example, just like in Romeo and Juliet, no? So Romeo doesn't know that Juliet has a fake death, no? When he saw that Juliet was lying, like she's not breathing anymore, like she's dead. So what did Romeo did? He also killed himself. So when Romeo killed himself, then goes Juliet. So nakita ni Juliet what happens. Nakita niya nagpakamatay si Romeo. Then that is the tragic ending of the Romeo and Juliet. No? Nagpakamatay din si Juliet. Kasi ano pa daw yung silbi ng buhay niya kung wala na si Romeo. That's an example of dramatic irony. As an example. Verbal irony. When we said verbal, it is a type of irony that is verbally used, which occurs when a speaker intentionally says one thing while meaning the opposite. You likely use a verbal irony on a daily basis, even if you don't realize it. Have you ever said anything similar to these statements to your mom or dad? You're saying, I just love cleaning my room. I'd be so happy to pick up the dog poop. Oh yes, meatloaf for dinner. Now you imagine saying each one with your best signature eye roll and these examples of sarcasm, which uses irony as a means to mock something. Let's look at this example of verbal irony. So these are examples that you can use in a factual text. Imagine that we are reading an article arguing for the idea of the universal health care. So it's for about 60s, no? Everyone wants to reach their 60s, senior citizen, when they need the health care the most and have it be too expensive to have. Why wouldn't a person want this? Yan. So, here in our Philippines, in our country, so yung mga senior citizen, when they reach the age of 60, they have their discount, but they have lots of healthcare, maintenance, no? And it's too expensive. Next example we have, telling a quiet group, they are quiet. Don't everybody speak all at once. Then coming home to a big mess and you're saying, wow, it's great to be back. Then telling a rude customer, have a nice day. Then walking into an empty theater and saying this, asking, it's too crowded. But you know that it's just empty. Here also were examples of verbal irony. Then you're stating during a thunderstorm that, wow, beautiful weather we're having. An authority figure stepping into the room saying, don't bother to stand or anything. A comedian telling an unresponsive audience, they are unresponsive, and this were what a comedian says. You all are a great crowd. Sounds like sarcastic. Describing someone who says foolish things. A genius. And delivering a bad news by saying, the good news is entering a child's messy room and you're saying, nice place you have here. Here's also another example. How do I look in a tie? Oh, you're perfect. It's the tie that's not worth you. Yeah, so we see the irony, verbal irony. What is a situational irony? So it shows the irony in a situation. Example, a fire station that burns down. A winner of a spelling bee but failing a spelling test. A t-shirt with the Buy American logo but it is made in China. A marriage counselor divorcing third wife. Then, sending a Christmas card to someone who is Jewish. You know, Jewish, they don't celebrate Christmas. Leaving a car wash at the beginning of a downpour. A dentist who needs a root canal. Going on a blind date with someone who is visually impaired. Usually when we go on a blind date, it's just that we don't know who will be our date, no? But it's ironic when you are going to a blind date with is someone na visually impaired. Then a police station being burglarized and also purchasing a roll of stamps a day before the price to send a letter increases. Also, some examples of irony in a plot. So, irony is also useful in a plot device where readers or the viewers of a plot that includes irony, they often call this effect as a twist, no? Plot twist. And here are examples of irony in a well-known plots. Movie to, The Wizard of Oz. The characters they already have what they needed, but they are asking it from the wizard. In a time enough at last. episode of The Twilight Zone. The main character, who yearns to be left alone to read, survives an apocalyptic explosion but breaks his reading glasses. How about Oedipus? Oedipus Rex from Sophocles. Oedipus is searching for the murderer who turns out that is himself. No? The Cast of Amontillado by Edgar Allan Poe. The character who is Fortunato, Fortunato means fortune, meets with a very unfortunate fate. Hansel and Gretel from the Grimm fairy tale. The witch who intended to eat Hansel and Gretel is trapped by the children in her own oven. That's example of irony in plot. The real life examples of irony. Yan. Real life, no? Sabi dito, Madam, if I were your husband, I'd drink it. It is reported that Lady Nancy Astor once said to Winston Churchill that if he were her husband, she would poison his tea. So in response, this is what Churchill allegedly said. Madam, if I were your husband, I'd drink it. In Sweden's ice hotel, built of snow and ice, it contains the fire alarms. This is the longest word, not actually longest, but it is a very long word. Hippopotamonstrosis quipedaliophobia is the official name for the fear of long words. How ironic. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury is considered an anti-censorship novel, and it's also one of the most consistently banned books in the United States. A retired CEO of the Crayola Company suffered from color blindness. And many people claim and or believe that the Titanic was an unsinkable ship. No? But eventually, it will sink. There is a hangover remedy entitled "That Hair of the Dog That Bit You," but that involves consuming more alcohol. George H.W. Bush reportedly said that I have opinions of my own and they are strong opinions, but I don't always agree with them. There is a difference between the verbal irony, the dramatic irony, and the situational irony. Though there are many forms of irony as a literary device, the three main forms that is a verbal, dramatic, and situational. The verbal irony sets for the contrast between what is literally said and what is actually meant. In a dramatic irony, the state of the action or what is happening as far as what the reader or viewers knows is the reverse of what the players or the characters suppose it to be. In a situational irony, it refers to the circumstances that turns out to be the reverse of what is expected or considered appropriate. Essentially, verbal and situational irony are each a violation of a reader's expectations and conventional knowledge. When it comes to verbal irony, and the reader may be expecting a character's statement or response to be one thing, though it turns out to be the opposite. Yan. Yun yung nangyayari sa verbal irony. So, yung reader, ine-expect niya, no, that the character's statement or the response, yun yung expectation niya, pero it's turned out to be the opposite. For situational irony, the reader may anticipate an event's outcome in one way, though it turns out to happen in a completely different. Irony is more of a vicarious violation of expectations or knowledge, and in other words, the reader or the audience, they are aware of the pertinent information or the circumstances of which the actual characters are not. And therefore, the reader is left in a suspense or conflict, no? Until the situation or information is revealed to the characters involved. For example, a reader may be aware of a superhero's true identity, whereas other characters may not know what information it is. A dramatic irony allows a reader the advantage of knowing or understanding something that a particular character or group of characters does not. Writing an irony overall, so irony functions as a means of portraying a contrast or the discrepancy between the appearance and the reality. And this is effective for the readers in that irony can create the humor and the suspense, as well as showcase character flows or highlight central themes in a literary work. It is essential that the writers bear in mind that their audience must have an understanding of the discrepancy between the appearance and the reality in their work. Otherwise, the sense of irony is lost and it becomes ineffective. Therefore, it is best to be aware of the reader's or the viewer's expectation of reality in order to create an entirely different and unexpected outcome. Plot device. Ayan. So, irony, we're using it as a powerful plot device in unexpected events or character behaviors. It can create suspense for readers. It will also heighten the humor in a literary work, or it will leave a larger impression on an audience. As a plot device, the irony allows the readers to re-evaluate their knowledge, the expectations, and the understanding. Therefore, the writers can call attention to themes in their work while simultaneously catching their readers off guard. The method of reveal. As a literary device, irony does not only reveals unexpected events or plot twists, it also serves to showcase the disparity in the behavior of the characters, then making them far more complex and realistic. Irony can also reveal the preconceptions on the part of an audience by challenging their assumptions and expectations. In this sense, it is an effective device for writers. So, ano nangyayari doon? Not just a plot of twist. There's also the disparity in the behavior of the characters wherein, for example, so ine-expect natin na yung character na to that he is kind, he is gentleman, he is very good, but there's a twist that there's a disparity na there's some part in the story kung saan yung inaasahan natin na good character pala turn out to be bad, no? That he is the killer in the story, somehow like that. Examples of irony in a literature. Irony is just not just very effective in a literary device. They are really effective, and some examples of the irony. It also adds the significance of well-known literary works. For example, The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. So have you heard about the story or have you read about the story? The story is about the necklace that is made of diamonds, no? Madame Forestier is the owner of this necklace, and Matilde, who is so poor, borrow the necklace made of diamond to attend a special event. She wear this together with his husband. So eventually, Matilde lost the necklace of diamonds, and unknowingly that it is a fake necklace made of diamond. It is fake the diamond. She have to work hard to pay and replace the necklace of diamond. And it turns out that she never told Madame Forestier that she lost the original necklace of diamond. She just replaced it with she replaced it with the real real necklace of diamonds. So of course Matilda is really poor and lalo pa siyang naghirap because of that. And after 10 years they met each other, and Matilde, who was supposed to be very beautiful woman, turns out now to be look aged, look stressed, And sabi ni Matilde, ang dami niyang pinaghirapang trabaho just to pay back, para mabayaran yung utang nila dahil nga pinalitan niya ng yung necklace na totoo. Tapos nalaman niya from Madam Forestier na kaibigan niya na peki pala yung diamond necklace na pinahiram. So yun, that's the twist of the story. That's the irony there. Na it's too late nang malaman niyang peki pala yun kasi siya nagsabi ng totoo sa kaibigan niya at pinalitan niya yung peki na yun ng totoong necklace of diamonds. Talk about the symbolism. Definition of symbolism, where we are using the symbolism. It is a literary device that refers to the use of symbols in a literary work, where a symbol is something that stands up or suggests for something else. It represents something beyond literal meaning. In literature, a symbol can be a word, can be an object, an action, a character, or concept that embodies and evokes a range of additional meaning and significance. Common examples of symbolisms in everyday life. Every words, objects, and even concepts often have their more than a single meaning. So across time, certain aspects of everyday life and experience evolve in meaning and associated significance, that making them symbols of something besides what they actually are. So sa buhay natin, sa paligid natin, we're usually using this symbolism, okay? Here are some of the examples of symbolism that every day in our life we encounter. For example, rainbow. So when we saw rainbow, how does it feel? What does it symbolize? Actually, from the Bible, kung nabasa nyo from the Genesis, kung kay Noah's Ark, no? So nung matapos yung baha, they saw a rainbow and it symbolizes the hope and the promise of God na hindi na ulit gugunawin ng mundo gamit ang isang malaking baha. Okay? Red rose. Yan. We usually give red rose, yung mga, syempre, yung mga girls, pag merong sa ating mga special someone, they giving us red rose, and it symbolizes love and romance. A four-leaf clover, it symbolizes good luck or fortune. While a wedding ring, sa mag-asawa, it symbolizes the commitment and the matrimony. Sa Amerika, the red, white, blue symbolizes the American patriotism. Sa atin, o sa ibang mga lugar, when we see a green traffic light, it symbolizes go or proceed. Ang mga tree blossoms, they are symbolizing spring season. While wearing a pilgrim hat, it symbolizes a Thanksgiving holiday. A dollar sign or a peso sign, it symbolizes money, earnings, or wealth. While an image of a shopping cart, it symbolizes online purchases. Shopee, Lazada, yan. Here are also some examples of types of symbolism and their effects in our example in emotion. We're using emoticons. Symbols often evoke the emotional responses in our readers, allowing them to invest in the plot and the characters. So yung emotional effect of symbolism, it also creates a lasting impression for the reader of the literary work. There are some movies, novels that we have read that is really have some effect, no? And it lasts an impression na inculcate in our minds, in our hearts. So they are emotions. It captivated, no? They are symbolism of emotion. Imagery. These are symbols that can create imagery and provide some visual elements that allow the readers to understand the complex literary themes. This is also has a beneficial effects for the writer so that they don't feel an over-reliance on language to explain their intended meaning. So, gumagamit tayo ng imagery as a symbolism kasi doon sa ating imagination, the image shows the symbol, it becomes beneficial on the writers so that we will not just feel the over-reliance on language. So, hindi lang salita yung mag-explain on the story, but the imagery itself. A thematic connection, its symbols are symbols that can connect the themes of readers within a single literary work and across the literature itself. This allows for the greater understanding of literature as an art form. So there were example, the Notebook. Thematic connection. What's the connection of the... Have you watched that movie, The Notebook? No, alam ko it's a love story about the notebook. So that's the theme, The Notebook. So dun umikot din almost yung story. There's a love story. Nandun nakasulat sa notebook. Character attributes. Symbols can represent the different attributes of characters, both in a literal and figurative sense. So this has an effect for readers in that they can identify the character traits, they can understand their actions, they are based on symbolism in the literary work. So yung character itself, they symbolizes someone. Example, Snow White. What's Snow White as a character symbolizes? So, say Snow White, maputi, maganda, symbolizes a feminine, no? A woman, na siya yung the most, Cinderella was the most beautiful woman in their palace. So, yun yung character niya. She's the most beautiful one. Pero, syempre, may witch. Saan yung witch? Ang gusto niya, siya yung maging most beautiful. So, that's the character. Next, deeper meaning. Symbolism also allows writers to convey the deeper meaning in their work for the reader, and this creates a layered effect of understanding so that the different readers can find their own individual significance in a literary work. And individual readers can find the different levels of significance with each exposure to the literary work. So it's not just literary work. It have also some deeper meaning. You have to dig it deeper to understand more what's the meaning of that literary work. No, they're using symbolism, okay? Here are some famous examples of symbolism that is well known for movies. Example, a white cowboy hat symbolizes a hero in classic westerns. A mockingbird symbolizes innocence in How to Kill a Mockingbird. Balloons shows hopes and dreams in a Disney's Up. Feathers shows beginnings and endings in a Forrest Gump. A yellow brick road, street paved with gold in The Wizard of Oz. A coin toss. It shows the fate, the chance, the free will in the No Country for Old Men. The fog shows the confusion and the unknown in the apocalypse. Now, the cat, it is home and belong in a breakfast at Tiffany's. Doors, it shows the separation and transition in The Godfather. And a deer symbolizes as prey and vulnerability in a movie Get Out. There's a difference between symbolism and motif. Symbolism and motif, they are also both effective as literary devices that can appear to be synonymous or interchangeable. However, these devices also serve different purposes in literature. Symbolism as a device utilizes symbols such that the concept of a word or object represents something beyond its literal meaning. So, hindi lamang siya, example, a glass. A glass is not just a literal glass. There is a story between the material, no? What's the glass? It can show a story. It symbolizes something. It can symbolizes water or life. A broken glass can symbolizes a broken relationship, a broken trust. Symbols can be featured singularly or several times in a literature, while a motif is a recurring element in the form of an image, or a phrase, or a situation, or concept that is integral to the plot and appears several times throughout a literary work and emphasizes or draws attention to the overall theme. For example, natin sa motif, if you're watching MMK, so madalas doon paulit-ulit, may mga, pag gusto nilang ipakita na iyon yung motif of the story, parol, for example, parol. Pag nanood ka ng isa nilang sa sample episode, no? Yung lantern, Christmas lantern, or a parol. So, pwede siyang hindi lang isang beses ipakita dun sa scene. Dalawa, tatlo, maraming beses. Because it wanted to emphasize, no, that there is an integral to that plot and it appears several times kasi meron siyang gustong ipakita. It wanted to draw attention to that Christmas lantern, that it becomes the motif, no, of this story. Examples of symbolism in a literature. So symbolism is also effective literary device utilized by writers to connect with the readers and allow them to actively participate in understanding the deeper meaning of a literary work. We're also using this symbolism sa mga poem. It was usually used sa mga poem, no? Example ng mga poem natin, di ba, yung mga moon, stars, they were not just there to capture as an image, but they are symbolizing something. Moon usually appears to be a symbol of yung moon at night. They can show some empathy, sad life, but to others, it shows that a lightning moon or a star that shines, they shows happiness, hopes, dreams, yan. It depends upon how does it use in a poem. Writers use the symbolism to evoke, to evoke the emotion, to create a sensory experience, and to demonstrate the artistic use of language, so that words have both the literal and the figurative meanings. And here are examples of symbolism in literature. Yan, from the Glass Menagerie. Yes, movies, look at them. All of those glamorous people having adventures, hugging it all, gobbling the whole thing up. You know what happens? People go to the movies instead of moving. Hollywood characters are supposed to have all the adventures for everybody in America, while everybody in America sits in a dark room and watches them have them. Yes, until there's a war. That's when adventure becomes available to the masses. Everyone's dish, not only Gables. Then the people in the dark room come out of the dark room to have some adventures themselves. Goody goody! It's our turn now to go to the South Sea Island to make a safari to be exotic far off. Do you have any question, guys, about our lesson? I hope that you enjoy it, and if you have any questions or any queries, you can chat me in our chat box or in our Edmodo or our Facebook page. Thank you, and God bless you all.